Welcome back to Cutting Edge Consciousness, thought-provoking discussions and bold ideas from the edge of possibility.
And we're back here on Cutting Edge Consciousness. Freeman Michaels here with Barnet Bain and our guest Sam Bennett, the author of Get It Done! From Procrastination to Creative Genius in 15 Minutes a Day. Before we went to break, Barnet, you were wanting to meander down one of your favorite paths having to do with art and creativity. So take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. Your beautiful book ends with the words, the world needs your art. And I know you're very serious about that. I take that very seriously. That is not a melodrama. You mean that literally?
I do.
And,
I do. The world is waiting.
Yes, the world is waiting. So I'd love you to tease out a little more meaning, what you're suggesting in that for us.
Yeah, well, I think we've all had the experience of the art that's changed our lives.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the book that has meant so much to us, the movie we watch over and over again, that song we've played over and over again, that poem, that sculpture, that dance, whatever it was that we went, oh, that horrible, horrible long night, and that stupid movie came on and saved your life.
Mm-hmm.
That stupid movie saved your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think as creative people, we have an impulse to pay that forward. So the art that you make about your heartbreak, about your loneliness, about your exaltation, about your first love, about your whatever, helps me understand my loneliness and my heartbreak and my first love in a new way. That's what art does. It explains our feelings to us.
It's beautiful.
So that's why, it's all been said before, but not by you.
That's beautiful. And the process of art making by itself, the process of discovering resistance and pushback and unearthing the strategies that we use to cope with that and surfacing the reasons that we push away from exploring things that are meaningful to us and expressions that are meaningful to us. That process all by itself frees us. And what frees us frees everyone. And so the making of art is a blessing to the world. It is a blessing to yourself, and it is a blessing to the world in ways that have nothing to do with the artifact. It makes us finer people.
Exactly, and I get very liberal with what I mean by both art and creative genius. I think that everybody's a creative genius.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody's artistic, in the same way that not everybody is musical, but everybody's a creative genius. So even for those of you out there who would not self-describe as an artist or even as a creative person, there are ways that you do things and ways that you think about the world and gifts that you have that no one else has. And you're exactly right. The process of unleashing those gifts, the process of giving yourself permission to be your fullest, highest, and best self, it liberates the planet.
It self-explores. It's a process of self-exploration. Art making requires that we look at ourselves more deeply, even if it is, and it begins with the process of our resistances, as we pointed out. But as we peel back the layers of what matters to us and what all the clutter that stands in the way of the expression of what matters to us, we become different people.
And even the word art, look, to call this mess art is so generous because, again, sort of what we've been talking about in this conversation is how oppressive one size fits all. One version is the best version, Barnett's talked about this a lot, the idea of structured imagination or even structured creativity, where it's not really uniquely ours. We're just trying to copy someone else's song or movie or story because we don't have permission to view whatever crazy mess we're calling our lives from this generous perspective of art, right? Because that's what I get in Find Your Own Way. Look, there is no right way. Let's just get that tyranny out of our heads. There is your way. There are ideas. There are cool things other people did you might want to try on. But at the end of the day, everyone has to find their own voice. That is not just the artist imperative. That is a human imperative.
Exactly, and there's no greater or lesser than. It is not better to be a cartoonist than it is to be an opera singer, than it is to be a bomb diggity smoothie maker, than it is to be a great yoga teacher, than it is to be, a wonderful parent or a great mechanic or, whatever it is your gifts are. There's no scoring system on that.
Well, there is, but you might want to unhook from that tyranny, because just because we've created a scoring system doesn't make it a good idea.
Right. Or accurate in any way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, your background, you've done all kinds of fascinating things, including a lot of improv.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And so you are very sophisticated about embracing, accepting, including, and then transcending, meeting challenges with a yes and.
Exactly. If you ever wanted to, tighten up your life skills, study improv, because it kind of is everything you need to know.
It is. So say a little bit more than that, because I get lit by this. I mean, I can't agree more with you that that improv is a PhD masterclass in how to gracefully meet the challenges of life.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it just requires the bravery of doing it, of being willing to walk out on stage with nothing.
Mm-hmm. But say a little bit about the framework, so that our listeners have an understanding of why improv is such a healthy patterning to meet life.
Yeah, well, when you're creating an improv show, or even just playing improv games, there's usually some kind of a structure, and they're often structured sort of like children's games. But other than that structure, you have nothing. There's no set, there's no props, there's no costumes. Sometimes you'll get a suggestion from the audience, right, of a location or a relationship or a household item, to which everyone always says spatula.
That's right, spatula.
My first choice.
My first choice every time.
Every time.
Teflon.
And then you just start. Somebody starts, and you have to be really listening very carefully. You have to accept what is going on. I mean, you might walk out with the idea of...
That's really key. I mean, you have to accept whatever is coming at you. You have to accept it fully.
So I may walk out with the idea that I'm a princess in a tower, and you walk out with me and you say, "Sweetheart, you're late from school."
Now you're a 12-year-old princess in a tower.
So now I can either go, and if I try to hang on to my big fat idea about what I thought we were doing, we are not going to have a very successful scene.
Oh, you're dead in the water.
Right?
It's interesting. I've been invited. I was a theater arts major as well.
Oh, come on! I'm gonna out you. You were. We're talking to Drake Belson.
Barnett's so proud of that.
I'm very proud of it. Drake Belson of The Young and the
Restless. Yeah. Before my illustrious soap opera career, I was a theater arts major, and I go back periodically to talk to classes there. And I always say that theater is the best thing to major in, because life is a series. Girls. There are cute girls too. That's a bonus. For sure. And cute guys if you're coming from the other perspective, or cute guys if that's your perspective and you're a guy. Any way you slice it, it comes up peanuts, to borrow from our friends at Snickers. But the roles that we find ourselves in life. I mean, this is again something I've said way too many times in this show, but that I would feel more real in my roles than in my real life. But that life is these series of roles that in essence teach us about ourselves. And so the play, as it were, right? Going out and doing the play, if we take it as an exercise, a self-inquiry, and to illuminate aspects of ourselves, especially the bad guy, which is always my favorite role, because that's the part I didn't have a ton of permission to be in my life. I was busy being Mr. Goodbar and Mr. Friendly, and I had this wonderful opportunity several times, including the role I played on the soap opera, to be the bad guy. How juicy is that? So this training for life, I mean, Barnett pointed to improv, but the whole any creative process where we get to throw ourselves in there and, and toy around with our sense of self a little is valuable.
Well, exactly. And I did 6 weeks on Days of Our Lives. Those soap opera people work harder than anybody I've ever met in my entire life.
It's crazy. One day I had 40 pages of dialogue in one day because we had a set that we were going to strike.
You're reading it off a prompter, right?
No, you're not reading off a prompter. No.
You're
now
memorizing
the older
that?
actors, they would let them use cue cards, but the younger actors, they made us learn them. But you can, there's a couple things you can do. You get to do little retakes every once in a while. Like if you flub a line, you'll go back just 2 lines, and you'll go from the long shot, the master, to they'll find a way to save you. When you have 40 pages, there is empathy for the fact that we gave you 40 pages. Right. But yes, some days were crazy.
But no, it moves fast, and one of the other things I love about I think there's a big misunderstanding, especially about performing artists, that you must just love the spotlight and love the applause. It's not true. Most of the performing artists I know are incredibly shy. We're sort of gregarious loners.
Gregarious loners. That's a great term. I may steal that from you.
You're welcome to it.
That is really good.
Yeah, gregarious loners.
It's Bennett with 2 N's and 2 T's.
That's right. Copyright, trademark, PM. Hashtag.
Right. Hashtag now. Boy, we are in a new age, aren't we? It used to be copyright was enough. No, I need a hashtag.
But, the truth of the matter is we get just as shy as anybody else does. We just have this weird compulsion to tell the story.
That's it. That is awesome. Barnett shaking his head. But in a positive way, he's shaking his head, yes. Barnett got to hide behind the other character. He would write the character, right? And didn't have to pretend like it was him.
Yeah.
Though he does have some famous acting credits.
People always
I
call
love the Barnett. You've had four acting.
Do you like the Armenian liquor store click?
That was one of my favorites. And the one where you walked in the room on the acters having sex.
Oh yeah, that was
what
good.
Was your one
room
line?
Service. Hello, room service. Hello,
room service. Hello. We're still trying to figure out how to deliver that line, but you know what?
We're still getting paid for that.
That's fantastic. That's the joy. I get 14 cents from X-Files every other week or something. From X-Files I did in 1998. Anyhow, boy, we've wandered from Get It Done. But
we sort of it looks like we did, but we didn't really, because we're talking about what is required to recognize our own innate creative genius, and we all do have creative genius. We sort of have this story that we're socialized in this story that creative genius happens somewhere else. It's a poet in history is a miracle. In the next room, it's a joke.
Yeah.
Right.
So this really is very much on track about owning our own gifts, owning who we are, and being courageous enough and cutting through the resistance and the procrastination and the fear of expressing it, of showing up there.
And another piece of this too is the wandering into genius, which we've talked about too, is that, everyone thinks, genius is going to come and there's this, big bright light that shines down and you go, oh, and it's your swan song. And the truth is usually the genius, you didn't even know you did it. It's like, really? Was that genius? Who knew? It's like this wandering. That's the beauty of improv, is you really do wander into something cool.
Absolutely, and I can guarantee you, again, for the professional creatives out there, the thing of yours that's going to be the biggest hit and bring you the most money and be the most popular will not be your favorite.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
It's going to be the thing that you look at and go, really?
Yeah,
that thing?
It's the one with the little dog.
Yeah, right. 35 years of backbreaking labor, and this is the thing you love.
It's always the one with the scruffy dog.
The one with the scruffy dog. But that's okay. People get to love what they love about your work, and they can't love it if it's not out there.
It's so good.
And I think the process of taking, again, the book says start with 15 minutes a day, that even taking just 15 minutes a day for you, for your voice, for the work that only you can do, to prioritize that right at the beginning of the day, before you check your email.
Yeah, it's called Get Your Priorities Straight. Organize your day about what you're really up to, and then go do the mundane stuff at some point. But again, it's getting your head in the right place, because that's where the magic actually occurs.
Well, and it's that thing, once you've done it, once you've spent that 15 minutes, even if you just spend 15 minutes staring at a blank page, which is fine, because a little enforced boredom is not a bad thing for a person, you get two of the great motivators of all time, vanity and smugness. Like, you get to walk around all day feeling like you are the shizzle because you did it. It's like going to the gym. You're like, yeah, I did that.
Well, and it's like the universe knows, because the starting with that frame of reference then invites in opportunity, doesn't it?
Well, that's the thing I get all the time, because I get emails and phone calls all the time like, Sam, I didn't think the 15-minute thing was going to work for me, but you said to do it, so I did it. This is why I like my private clients, because they pay me so much they have to do what I say. And so they didn't want to do it, but I was doing it, so I did it for a couple of days. And then the next thing I know, I'm in line at the dry cleaners, and this guy's brother's a literary agent, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Exactly.
Every single time.
What dry cleaner was that?
Barnett's gonna go run down to the drugstore, the famous drugstore. Everyone
Schwab's.
goes looking for
And
Schwab's.
and it's not magic. I mean, it might be a little magic, but it's because you're in it. It's because you're spinning on it. It's because you're in process with the idea. So you see opportunities that you wouldn't otherwise see. You're guided to things that you wouldn't otherwise be guided to. It's amazing when you set an intention and then move your feet, how the universe just comes rushing at you sometimes.
It's beautiful. Speaking of rushing at us, our commercial break is rushing at us. So we need to say goodbye, Sam, but we want to, before we let you go, give folks where they can find you. I have the organizedartistcompany.com. Is that the best website for our folks?
It is. It is theorganizederartistcompany.com, all the way spelled out, because I'm a spell it all out for you kind of a girl.
Yeah.
You can also text the word Get It Done Book, no spaces, all one word, Get It Done Book, to 96000 on your phone, and you get a free PDF of a book I wrote called 365 Reasons to Write. It's like a daily inspiration thing.
I love it.
And then that'll also get you on my email list so we can talk and you can tell me all about your projects.
Ah, that's beautiful.
That's fantastic.
And of course, we will put this up on the Cutting Edge Consciousness website. Sam,
we're going to do a road trip to your neighborhood now
Beach
that we
town.
know.
Please,
To your
come up.
unnamed beach town, but now that we know. Where it is.
Yes, we'll take a beach walk. We'll go to Slides. It'll be great.
Yeah.
All right, cool. We are so grateful that you spent the time with us today. We, of course, look forward to hanging out with you again, either in
Next
person
time in
or
studio.
back on the show. We'd love to have you in studio.
I can't think of anything I'd like nicer.
Excellent. And for those of you listening, we invite you to stay tuned, because Barnett and I
That's
will be back.
unfortunate, Sam.
No, it's the pinnacle. I'm peaked.
We'll be back after these messages to wrap things up here on Cutting Edge Consciousness.